understand what is happening today. I'm now directly approaching the big question, you know, is Trump a fascist or not? I have problems here. My problem is that all too often, did you notice, the left displays some kind of intellectual laziness. They see that something new is emerging, but then they are too lazy to analyze this novelty in a close way, and they say, okay, it's something bad, so look, our usual term for really bad thing is fascism, so it must be fascism. I don't have yet a good term for what is going on. You can say, maybe Varoufakis has this techno-feudalism. I have he did hit upon something, but I have some problems with that, which is why strategically I am tempted to use the term liberal fascism. I think to really understand Trump is to point out that he is not simply a fascist. It's a fascism grounded in extreme liberalism. Fascism usually is a strong state and all that, but Trump's professed goal is what Musk is doing, reduce the state, cut everything on. The paradox, of course, is that to do this, you have to strengthen the state even more. Or at the level of freedoms, they want full freedom, and it's clear where you end the full freedom with more and more prohibitions. So, how does this work? Now I will develop something which some of you may know. I think that it's not just a psychological feature of Trumpian universe, something that I cannot but call shamelessness. Shame is disappearing. Now you will say, are you a conservative or what? No, I'm much more precise here. We obviously have today examples of shamelessness. By shamelessness, I mean something very simple. Let's not yet go into theory. Things which were unimaginable 20, 30 years ago are now openly done. Although my position with regard to Israel and Hamas and war there, I'm often attacked by both sides as usual. I nonetheless find problematic at least some things that are happening very problematic in Israel, you know, which is for me maybe the lowest moment. Do you remember in July 2024, some guards in a military prison just south of Jerusalem, guards who were very honest, escaped and rendered public what went on there. That Palestinians suspected of being Hamas members were tortured in a, well, to put it very mildly, incredibly brutal ways. They even, some of these honest defectors, they even brought out some video, you can find them on the web, video clips. For example, the standard procedure was they held you down on your stomach and penetrated your asshole with a big metal stick full of razors, needles, and so on, so that dozens of Palestinian prisoners died of bleeding. But okay, I'm here skeptical in the sense of who knows what others are doing. I don't have any illusions here. What really depressed me is that when this became public, and this is shamelessness, nobody denies this in Israel, in that public life. It's accepted. But you know what happened? IDF military police was honest enough to arrest some of these guards who were doing the torturing. And we got there, it's wild demonstrations, like they are our heroes, they're fighting terrorism, we cannot address them. So I didn't want to take too much time, you can find it on YouTube immediately. There was a following debate in Knesset. A supporter of torturing the prisoners said, "This is insanity. Someone in the prosecutor office thinks it's possible to arrest soldiers for things they do to Nukba, Hamas elite units, to Nukba terrorists. We can't continue as usual." He was defending what they were doing in the prison. Somebody then interjected him. To insert a stick into a person's rectum, is this legitimate? He was immediately interrupted. Shut up. Yes, if he is Nukba, everything is legitimate to do. Everything. Then I could have shown you a debate on Israeli TV. A guy said, soldiers are suspected of raping a shackled prisoner. Doesn't this concern you? The reply, I don't give a rat's ass for what they do to that Hamas man. The only problem I see is that it's not state policy to abuse detainees. They deserve it, and it's a great form of revenge. Maybe it will act as a deterrent. So this, I must say, makes me sad. It's no longer that they deny it and so on. They openly, proudly state it. Now, there are many examples of this. I don't know how much it was reported here. On November the 7th, there were clashes in Amsterdam between Maccabi, Tel Aviv, soccer, European football club, and pro-Palestinian protesters. And Israel exploded. It's a new crystal night. But then it became absolutely clear that the Jewish fans did incredible things you can easily find on the web. Hundreds of them shouting incredibly open, obscene slogans like, "There are no schools open in Gaza because we killed all the children there," and so on. And again, shamelessness, you know, like nobody even reacted really to it. So again, where does shame enter here? In his seminar, The Other Side, The Reverse of Psychoanalysis, it's Lacan's reaction to the May 68 events. Lacan, makes a much more important point than his decried provocative statement, "You protesting students you aspire to as what you aspire to as revolutionaries is a master. You will get one." This sounds to be the usual liberal conservative gesture. You protest because you really want a new master, and you will get it. But if you read Lacan in detail, and there is English translation of this seminar, his position is much more refined. In his critique of protesting students, he surprisingly says, all you are lacking is a bit of shame. Again, then Lacan repeatedly varies this motive, like saying that students fear that they might be carried away by buffoonery. Let us start rather from the fact that buffoonery is already here. Perhaps by mixing in a little shame, who knows, we may be able to hold it back. And even he concludes the seminar with, what I put forward for the majority of you is just that. I managed to make you ashamed, not too much, but precisely enough. Jacqueline Miller, here I agree with him. He provided a nice commentary to this point. He says that we no longer have today a capitalism that relies on a repression of enjoyment. The new mode of capitalism is rather that of permissiveness, where what can sometimes be the cause of difficulty is the prohibition on prohibiting. Now comes the central point. Lacan doesn't advocate here a minimum of morality or repression that should be maintained to prevent social disintegration. You know, his point is not, yes, on the one hand, psychoanalysis should bring out the unconscious. On the other hand, if we bring it out too much, it will explode in self-destructive enjoyment, so let's stay somewhere in the middle. No, no. Lacan's point is much more refined. It echoes, and a friend of mine found a proof in Lacan's some early text from late 1930s that he maybe even took this from Frankfurt School, because if you look at complete notes to this text, I forgot which one, which was reprinted in Écrit, Lacan referred to Horkheimer and Adorno and so on, namely to the notion of repressive de-sublimation. In the sense of when you de-sublimate it, in the sense of let's brutally admit the way things are, you then get rid of repression. Repression gets even worse. I don't have time here to go, I just warn you into Freud's wonderful statement, which already points in this direction. You know why? I must say this self-critically, as a guy who was already here in '68. The idea was there secretly anti-feminist one. I remember as young revolutionaries, blah, blah. The idea was hysteria is bad, and secretly, although we didn't say hysteria is feminine, no? They just protest, but they really want a new master, while perverts go to the end. What a hysterical subject only dreams about, perverts effectively do it. Freud already said that nowhere is the unconscious more inaccessible, more repressed than in perversion. That's the key statement. Perversion is not, I have all these dirty dreams, what I do to you, or you to me, or group, or creed. No. Even if you bring it all out, repression is even worse. Why? The catch is that desire is in itself immanently inconsistent, traversed by what Freud called primordial repression, which is why the permissiveness of perversion ends up in a self-destructive deadlock which gives birth to call for a new master. And as the ongoing now wave of new populism aptly demonstrated, the new master's shamelessness by far exceeds the shamelessness of the old leftist protesters. So one has to be very precise here, and again, I'm referring to the idiot there in the first row. Shame, would you agree this, referring to formula? Shame is not a defense against too much desire. Like I would like to do, I will not name them, don't play with my fantasy, it gets really dirty. I have a secret desire to do horrible things to you, but out of shame I don't do it. No, shame is not a defense against too much desire. It is a defense of desire, of the lack that constitutes it against the excess of its oversaturation which obliterates it. As at this level, as you point in your last book, Pure Excess, desire and need can also be correlated as excess and lack. The capitalist excess of useless products necessarily leads to a lack of things we actually need for survival. And this imbalance is structural. You cannot simply resolve it by way of saying, no, we produce too many excessive things, we will produce just things that we really need. So you see my point again. Shame should be reinterpreted, not as this type of, yes, I don't want too harsh a morality, but nonetheless we cannot bring all the dirt out. No. When you bring all the dirt out, repression is stronger than ever. And this is why, again, shame should be at the political level, at the sexual level, maintained. Let's go on with, where am I?
So you should stop.
Sorry?
Stop pretty soon?
I will do my usual joke. I'm stopping myself now, and then the debate is open, I see my hand, I will ask myself, Professor Žižek, could you tell us what did you want to say in the remaining part? And I will try really briefly to go through.